Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister speaks frankly on China-Taiwan-US relations, urging calm and peace. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 25th August 2022. Details when we return.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown states his government's concerns on the issue of China, Taiwan and the US, as we hear in this ABS News item.
The Prime Minister clearly recognized that his comments will generate responses well beyond this country's shores, and therefore sought to put his perspectives into context. He said Antigua and Barbuda tries not to get involved in external issues and tries to be a friend of all. He also said he's not choosing sides between the United States and China regarding tensions in Taiwan. He was making reference to the recent visit of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to the island, which China sees as part of its territory.
Our role here is not to condemn either China or the United States, but to call for peace and for the United States to bring an end to these provocations. Now, we do understand that people have the right to travel wherever they wish, but if certain actions going to provoke and worsen the Chinese Taiwan relationship, then I don't know that now is the appropriate time to be leading that type of or encouraging that type of provocation. So I hope that those in the United States who obviously will hear about these comments will understand the concern of Antigua and Barbuda, and that they will realign their position to ensure that there's global peace and solidarity.
And the Prime Minister made it clear what he thinks of recent actions by the US regarding Taiwan.
I'll state here categorically that the position in which the United States is literally provoking China is totally unacceptable. It is well known that Taiwan is a breakaway province of China. So this is not a situation in which Taiwan has been an independent country and China is trying to colonize them. It's just like Antigua and Barbuda, and the Barbudans deciding that they want to be independent and break away from Antigua and Barbuda. The government of Antigua and Barbuda will have every right to ensure that Barbuda remains a part of Antigua and Barbuda.
Beyond this, the Prime Minister explained Antigua and Barbuda and other small island states in the region have a vested interest in a de-escalation of tensions, since another conflict would have dire implications.
We have already seen the escalation in prices as a result of the war in Ukraine, and we know that China is the supermarket of the world. So if you think that the situation in the Ukraine is impactful, just imagine if China has to have an embargo on the exportation of certain goods. Even the United States will be grossly affected. So, as an independent nation, as a small state that is a friend of all, we want to emphasize the need for the United States and China to work together in the interests of all humanity.
He insisted there is no need for unnecessary provocation.
And I want to call upon President Biden in particular. You're an old man, and you ought to be a man who should preside over global peace and solidarity. Old men don't make war. Old men ensure that there's peace.
The Prime Minister's comments will certainly pique the interest of both Washington and Beijing, but will his message to Washington be heeded? Time will tell.
In the meantime, Charles Fernandez reports that tourism officials in Antigua and Barbuda welcome record arrivals in July.
We know that we're facing some very challenging times. You will realize that the cost of fuel has gone up, which means airline tickets have increased rapidly. As a result of that, we were a bit concerned about our numbers going into the summer. But as you rightly said, July, we set a new record. Actually, July 2021 beat July 2019. So July 2022 has even beaten July 2021. And we have really looking forward to some good numbers in August. Just to let you know that our projections for the year would have been 75% of what we did in 2019. To date, we're at 83%, and we are hoping that we can catch up with it again, bearing in mind that we have a number of challenges which we're facing, to include, of course, the price of oil.
Prolonged global food supply chain issues have prompted renewed calls to St. Lucians to buy and grow more local produce. This time the call is coming from Acting Commerce Minister Pauline Antoine Prosper. Don Nicholas of the DBS News World reports.
According to Acting Commerce Minister Dr. Pauline Antoine Prosper, St. Lucia is not the only country feeling the effects of supply chain issues emerging from COVID-19 lockdowns due to shifts in demand, labor shortages, and structural factors. She was responding to questions relating to a shortage of sugar and other commodities here.
I was in America last 2 weeks and the shelves are empty, just as here. So it's a global issue that we are contending with, and St. Lucia is no different from other countries.
This has prompted fresh calls from the Acting Commerce Minister to support local food products. She says the government has been doing its best to import an adequate supply of basic commodities into the country, but the lingering supply chain problems continue to pose challenges. She also repeated a call to consumers to avoid hoarding products in short supply.
Well, the Prime Minister has always said, grow what you eat. He got a lot of criticism when he said we should eat bananas, and we are seeing more and more that it is best to have our backyard gardens to grow locally what we eat. And I think some people are trying to go to the supermarkets and take as much sugar as they can. If each of us take 2 pounds, 3 pounds, I think everybody will get. Because as I said before, it is not a St. Lucian issue. It's not a case where the government is not trying to get supplies for St. Lucia. It's the supply chain that has the issue everywhere.
Challenges include a lack of traceability, the inability to maintain the safety and quality of products, inadequate communication between parties, and rising supply chain costs. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
CARICOM is seeking to reduce its food import bill by 25% by 2025, and Prime Minister Philip J. Pear of St. Lucia is hoping that more youth interest in farming could help reshape the future of the sector and help cut the island's import account. Don Nicholas again of the DBS News World has this report.
Prime Minister Philip Pierre found the Agriculture and Investment Forum in Trinidad last week very appealing. CARICOM figures suggest that St. Lucia has surpassed its quota for fruits and vegetables. What was also noteworthy was the numerous value-added products that can be manufactured from the raw products like cassava, for which the Prime Minister says there is a big market. The objective is for CARICOM to reduce its importation of agricultural goods by 25% by the year 2025. This would translate into a saving of $1.2 billion of foreign exchange. This is very timely, given what's been happening on the global scene with food supply.
It was an exhibition. It was a seminar where farmers, manufacturers, financiers, bankers, members of the private sector got together to see how agriculture could really play a more meaningful part in the economies of the region. But there is great potential for agriculture. I was very pleased by what I saw.
Over the years, one of the concerns has to do with the aging farming population, with not many youths demonstrating an interest in taking over the mantle. But that seems to be changing. Prime Minister Pierre finds it encouraging to see more young people now showing an interest in modern agriculture, where the technology comes into play.
In fact, what was notable was that there was quite a large interest, quite a large component of young people involved in value-added agriculture, involved in modern agriculture, the use of computers, the use of technology.
He's optimistic that the newly installed youth economy in St. Lucia will blend nicely with the new agriculture model. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service continues to urge citizens to stay alert and use caution when conducting business dealings. Sergeant Ansel Ford gave some public safety tips to help reduce the opportunities of people becoming victims of crime. TV6's Nicole M. Romani has more.
Ambassador for the TTPS, Sergeant Ansel Ford, warns that people should exercise vigilance when purchasing items from strangers. He says, ensure that you maintain a level of control in the situation.
Okay, I want to buy the item you have, but the arrangement is this. I want to meet you at the bank, right, where I can withdraw the money, hand it over to you as the case may be. It's a public space, it have cameras, it have people, it have security there, right? You may also look at the time at which we are going to meet. For instance, we can't meet at the bank. Why would I meet you in the night? Why would I meet you at some place where it's you and I alone, but I'm walking with cash?
He further suggests that instead of using cash, a manager's check may be a safer option. Sergeant Ford also had advice for business owners who may encounter fraudsters.
So, you're into wholesaling of goods. They contact you and they place an order for X amount of goods at whatever value, and wait until Friday evening late to come to purchase. And what they pay with is a manager's check, but a fraudulent manager's check. And because of the time, they know you don't have the opportunity or the time to verify. But probably because of the volume of the sale, you say, hey, business, and you easily part with your goods. They have enough time now to dispose of the goods, right? And sometimes they would have used vehicles that had false number plates.
As such, Sergeant Ford says, when conducting such transactions, do it during the week when the information can be checked. He also advises persons to take mental notes on the physical attributes of the suspicious individual to assist police when filing a report. Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
The Don Anderson poll in Jamaica reveals that as many as 6 out of every 10 Jamaicans feel bad about the economy.
Jamaicans have been grappling with the rising cost of living due to high oil prices, the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and the ripple effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Still, in the January to March 2022 quarter, the Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ estimated that the Jamaican economy grew by 6%. For April to June, growth was 5.7%.
The outturn for the April to June 2022 quarter largely reflected the impact of the removal of measures implemented to manage the COVID-19 pandemic, compared with the corresponding quarter of 2021, when some of these measures were still in effect.
Improvements in agriculture, the hotels, transport, and storage sectors were also among the reasons for the growth. So how do Jamaicans feel about the current economic conditions? 63% feel bad, 10% good, and 27% average. When asked about who is responsible for good economic conditions, 39% said the government, 30% the people themselves, and 18% politicians. The private sector and external factors were also among the responses. The 1,113 people also gave reactions to those responsible for the bad economic conditions. 55% said the government, 16% politicians, 10% the people, and 9% said crime and violence was responsible. The private sector and other factors were also featured among the responses. The RJR Gleaner Don Anderson poll was done from January 16 to 26. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.